Right, in this video I want to show you about installing the CONRODS on the gudgeon pins. I've got all the piston rings on. The pistons are all marked up, so I've gapped each one for the board that it goes in. Don't worry about clocking them just yet because they're going to move around. You must remember the offset that we mentioned earlier in the previous video. So on this particular piston, which is number 1 piston, I know that's the front of the engine because we marked it with an arrow. All the pistons have got a little arrow on. So going back to the diagram in the manual, you'll see that the offset, and it does actually tell you, make sure that, you know, if you read it, it'll tell you which offset goes where. Like it says in this section here, the centre 2 connecting rods should be fitted with the offset part of the rods adjacent. So obviously they need to be adjacent to the. So that's what we've got there. We've got a diagram. So following that diagram, I know that this CONROD, that's how it looks in the book, the offset. So we put the gudgeon pin through, obviously into the piston. The warmer these get, the tighter they get, so don't mess about with them too long in your hands because they're an interference fit. This particular one is held in with circlips, and I'm quite fortunate in the fact that I did actually keep the circlips, the old circlips, because these new pistons didn't come with any circlips, and it's just a simple thing to install. You get your circuit pliers. You get the CONROD, and mind they don't spring out, because that's the only thing that can happen, is they can spring out on you and you'll lose them. So just put them in. It's gone too far, that one, actually. It's clicked into the groove there. Make sure it's clicked in all the way around. And that's clicked in nicely. Turn your piston over the other side. Get your next circlip. It's just a case of getting it into your circlip pliers. Mind it doesn't spring out. Make sure you push it down with your finger and make sure it's located in the groove. They're quite loose in the groove, look, but they are sealed in there, they can't come out. That piston's in there ready to go. So that's what we do about the CONRODS, connecting the CONRODS. And obviously carry on with this with the installation of the CONRODS. You look at the diagram, obviously that needs to be offset from that one, so that's not the right CONROD for that one. So look at the diagram again, we can see that that's the offset for this CONROD, and that obviously is number 2 piston. That's number 1 piston, this is number 2 piston. And again, don't handle these gudgeon pins for too long because they are quite a tight fit, an interference fit on some, you know, these are held in with circuits, but some of them are. So the warmer they get, the tighter they'll be to get into your piston. So don't be handling them handle them as little as you can till you get them in there. And then once they're in there, then you're all right. Obviously, they won't be warming up anymore. Get your circlip onto your circlip pliers. Man, they don't spring off. They've got a habit of springing off if you haven't got them right. Just be careful that it doesn't spring off, because you'll never find it again. If you're out like me, it'll be lost in the shed. You'll find it 12 months down the line. Just push your circlip through. Make sure it's located. It'll fit in the groove. You'll know it's in because you can just twist it around like that and it's in there. Can't go anywhere else. Turn it over, get your next circlip. It just shows you though how thorough you've got to be when you buy parts online. When you get the parts, check them thoroughly to make sure that all your parts are there, because obviously I didn't check. I never checked the circlips in here. I ordered new pistons. They came with the gudgeon pins, and I assumed that everything would be in there, and as it happened, there were no circlips. So thankfully I kept the old ones. That turns quite freely, look. So you know it's in the groove. So we've got number 1 piston. We've got number 2 piston. Number 3 piston, we need to check the offset. Check the offset on the diagram. We know we're doing it right. Lay it down. Don't handle them too much because they get warm, as I say. Do them as little as possible. These are all like 5-10 minute jobs, these jobs that we're doing now. So in the grand scheme excuse me, in the grand scheme of things, they're not big long jobs. Don't rush your jobs though. That's how we make mistakes, because you start thinking, oh, I'll just do that and I'll do that and I'll do that, and you end up making mistakes. Just set yourself a target for the day, what you're going to do. Think it through in your mind, what you're going to do for that day. You'll find it'll go a lot easier. Make sure those circlips just don't spring out. Push it down into the groove. That's in the groove. You know it's in the groove because it turns up quite easily. As I say, don't worry about the clocking of the rings, we can do that later. So it's another 5 or 10 minute job. Think it through first, keep your area clean. This is what I use. I get a piece of cardboard from a box from the shops or anywhere. Just open it out, and every job you do, start with a fresh clean piece of cardboard. Put your parts down on it. You're not going to lose your parts, you can see where they are. They're not lost in amongst all the bits of detritus that you get when you're doing these little jobs. You can see you're working on a clean area. It looks more professional. You'll do a more professional job. And again, look, once it's located, it just turns quite easily. And you can see there's no score marks on them pistons. Little scratches where, they're not going to bother your engine. It's not going to make a bit of difference. You've just got to make sure they're located well. You might not have these circlips. Yours might be just interference fit with a little nut in there. Each one's different years, different people might have modified them over the years. And obviously we know this is the last one because it's the last one. So keep all your parts, what you're going to use, keep them in there. They're not going to go anywhere. If you drop one, it's going to drop in the cardboard. Get your gudgeon pin, slide it through. So I don't know what we've done on here, 6-7 minutes I think probably. That's all we've done. It's not a big job. And then you can think about that as being a good job done. And what I generally do, I do a job, complete it, and I go and have myself a cup of tea. And then come back and think about what I'm going to do next. Read about it in the book first. You don't know everything, so there's something that you might miss. So read carefully what the book says. Check everything out. Make sure you've got all the parts, for one thing. Don't start a job unless you know you've got the parts to complete it. Because you'll find that if you do start a job and you don't have the parts, what will happen is you'll put that job to one side because you're going to do something else. And then you'll lose something. And if you remember to do what I said, get yourself some freezer bags. There's a box with me, look, Ziploc freezer bags. That's all you need. Get all your parts, put them in one bag. One job, one bag. And that's loose in there, so that's done. I got this sheet off the bed. I don't think my wife will mind. If I get it washed and put back before she gets back from shopping, it should be alright. So all those are in there now. We're not bothered about clocking the rings because they can all move. When we're ready to install them, we'll get them all right. So that's that job all done and dusted. Everything's as it should be. The pistons have all been they've all been measured, the rings, they've all been measured for each bore, and each piston's been assembled with that particular bore in mind. So all those rings were measured in that bore, on that piston, so on. If you do look at the pistons, they've got markings on them. One, they've got a part number on them, and in this instance, for anybody who comes to do a job on this engine in the future, you'll see that it's got 020, because we know that this engine's been rebored a few years ago, and I knew it was rebored plus 20. So anybody who comes to do a job on this will know that that's the size of the rings he needs to do. He won't need to buy any new pistons, he'll just be able to buy some rings. Same with the shells. The bearing shells, we know for a fact that these are plus 10. I'll show you this when we come to assemble them, but I don't know if you can, perhaps you can see that and perhaps you can't. But these shells, as I said before, they're all marked. These are tri-metal shells, they're not bimetal. Bimetal shells are about 16 quid as opposed to these, which are about 28, 29 pound. There is a difference. Excuse me. These are, we know that these have been 10 over, because the crank's being reground. So the next job, when we come to get back off our cup of tea, I'm going to be showing you just about clipping these shells in, and to be honest, it couldn't be any easier. I'm just going to show you a quick one now. You just get them. There's a little slot in the conrod. There's a little slot on the bearing, and all you do, you line that slot up like so, and you push that in, and that's in, and you'll see that that hole in the shell lines up with that little hole in the conrod. And when we come to do them again, I'll show you another quick one. This is the cap, the bearing cap. There's a slot in the cap, there's a slot in the shell, and all it is, you line it up, you press it in, and that's it. That's it. Simple as that. That's it. You might just need a little tap just to line it up. They will actually fit round with the, when you clamp them down, they fit flush to the top of the cap. They can't go anywhere else. They can't fit anywhere else. And that's it. That's all you do. That cap with that shell. A little bit of bearing grease on there. Our assembly grease, which you know we use. We don't need to put loads on. I've still got enough left in this packet of grease here, what I showed you before, to do all the bearings on this engine. But just as a little, you don't need much, because what happens if you put loads on, it'll just squirt out the sides. That's enough for it. Any more than that, it's just going to squelch it out the side. I'm going to rub that off and put some more on later because it's quite dusty here. I just wanted to show you. That's our next job. So hopefully you've learnt a little bit more, and if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thanks very much for watching.